Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up? Big Herc 916, and you're getting down with another fresh out Prison Talk. P. Diddy was acquitted of the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking, but was convicted of the minor charges, what had to do with paying prostitution across state lines and some other things. Those charges, they say, can carry up to 10 years. You got the judge's discretion in there, and he was denied bail. Still being denied bails. Cassie said he's a threat, so he will have to stay in jail until sentencing. Now, I spoke about this on Big Herc 916 about the Abber, Comi, and Fitch guys. Mike Jeffries, his life partner Matthew Smith, and their middleman Jim Jacobson, who have all pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking charges. But they were given a $10 million bail. See, the difference is the guys on the Abercrombie and Fitch case, they know the bigger hitters. So they were able to negotiate a little bit different than P. Diddy, apparently. And P. Diddy, in his situation, they're making an example and basically letting him know that certain things will not be tolerated, and you have to mind somebody. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, this is their way of letting a black man know where he's at in America. It's not just a black man. It could be a white man. It could be a Mexican man. It could be an Asian man. There's a hierarchy to everything. And whether you're in the music industry, whether you're in the entertainment industry, whether you're in sports, whether you're in politics, whether you're in finance, whether you're in the automotive, there's always somebody you answer to. And when you start knocking on certain doors and certain people get ruffled, they got a way of making shit come down like an avalanche. And they did an avalanche on this dude. Now, I'm not defending him. I'm not saying it's not a crime to pay a prostitute. It's not a crime to sexually abuse somebody, to put people in situations where they're compromised for the sake of what they consider to be a later benefit. I'm just saying, when you surround yourself in a certain environment, you got to know the rules of engagement. It's the art of war. You go to war and you're thinking you're doing something because you got a couple of pea shooters and maybe a large automatic, and somebody has a bomb or a bazooka. It's a wrap. You can't go to war with people that are on a different level than you are. And I can't say for certainty, but it appears that some people that he was possibly doing business with previously in the spritzer industry got pretty upset about what was going to be divulged, because when you go to court, you got to show accounting, they do forensics, there's all type of stuff, and that wasn't going to happen. So this is what you have as a blowout in that. And you gotta think, right? If you're talking about freak parties and people say you get kind of caught up in a situation, and that is true. But these parties are nothing new, man. They're going on all the time. There are people having them right now. There are, whether it's entertainers, whether it's athletes, this shit is like a regular thing in Hollywood. But you don't have to go. But it does go down, and a lot of times people you think are a certain way in the public, they got this polished image. You look up to them, they getting their backs blown out, they doing something extra kinky, um, there's dungeons out there, there's S&M spots. People are doing some wild shit, man. And this was entertaining for a lot of squares out there that imagine the money, the power, running around with all the celebrities and dignitaries, and they hear this stuff and they're like, oh, this guy's a weirdo. But, they're really wanting to be at the weirdo parties too. And I'm not trying to justify it. Initially I thought this was a domestic violence case. I found it kind of weird that they released a hotel video years after it actually happened. Why didn't that come out earlier? And then, the people that work for him had immunity, and then there's nobody else I've heard of that's convicted on the Rico, so it's, I guess they gave the, whoever else, Cassie, got immunity for testifying and whatever, but it's just, like I said, the industry, it's not what you think. A lot of you guys, you look up to these celebrities and they're into some stuff that if you could really take time to reflect on your actions before you did it, you might think twice. That's why you have so many people in the industry that crash out. People that have all this fame, and then you see something about, oh my God, so-and-so overdose, so-and-so is homeless, so-and-so, is in rehab. And you're thinking like, what happened to this person? Well, they were at these parties, man. They were at these parties. They did some stuff. Maybe they, got turned out on drugs. That's why, you got to have a lot of discipline to not want to feel like, oh, well, it's just this one time and you got, 3 girls over here and 2 doing, oh man, everybody's doing it. They're doing it, and I see them like they're regular people, look like they do regular things in public. And if I do it, I can do it and stop. What if you can't stop? What if you go and you do that, and then when you leave the party, you want to go get some more of it, and then you get other people to party with you, and then you start draining your bank account. Then you start missing meetings. You start blowing off jobs and whatever have you. It's just a slippery slope, man. And a lot of people don't think about that, because if you're in that circle, it's fun. You're having a great time. But for everything, there is something that comes with it. And I still haven't heard any celebrities saying, oh, Puffy, glad you dodged a bullet, man, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's quiet. They're just kind of sitting back. People are probably trying to negotiate to buy his masters, his publishing, to try to get some money off this dude while he's while he's on a down and out. They figure hit you while you're down. And they're not defending him. I haven't seen really anybody that they said during trial who was like a famous person come and give a character testimony. Where was that at? He was smart because he didn't take the stand, so he didn't have to be cross-examined, and he didn't have to testify against himself. That's one of the biggest things, is when you testify under oath, they get you under cross-examination and you self-incriminate, but you have the right to not self-incriminate. And so when they say, oh, you don't want to testify, oh, he must be guilty. Man, look, man, know your rights. No, never testify against yourself. I don't care if they have you on camera. Don't testify against yourself. That's just, you don't tell on yourself. That's just for anybody. Oh man, blah, blah, blah. Look, you're an idiot if you sit there and testify against yourself. I can neither affirm or deny. So, he was smart in that sense, but yeah, he dodged a bullet, and we'll see how he comes out of this. His with his record, they're not going to send him to a USP unless they're just being assholes. But his points and stuff like that, he'll go to a camp just like all those other white collar guys. He'll be at the camp, and they're probably having guys try to get the music game from him. He'll be up in there doing his thing. He'll have a probation afterwards. Who knows? He might even appeal this, because he went to trial, so he has appeal rights. He had so many days to file an appeal. I know everybody's very opinionated. A lot of people say, Cassie, having connected with her abuser, became like her abuser. And I'm not, denying, affirming that. I wasn't in that situation. I'm just saying that there's a lifestyle out there that a lot of people maybe see on some of these porn sites, or hear about it through whispers. But to be surprised that there are parties where people are getting their freak on and they're doing these different things, it's not new. And there were no major names mentioned. There were whispers. Oh, this politician, he likes this, and this person likes that, and that was the entertainment part. But the Abercrombie and Fitch case, Mike Jeffries, they said he might not even be competent to stand trial now. He's got dementia and the onset of Alzheimer's. So the game, man, the game is bigger than what you think. And a lot of times things happen, arrests go down at the same time. This guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, their case popped up. P. Diddy's case popped up. You hear about this case. You don't hear about their case as much, and who knows? We still, are going to wait and see what happens with those guys if they go to trial, if they plead out. But to all those out there, on OnlyFans and Instagram that are, selling their ass and traveling across state lines, getting bread, maybe it's a wake up, because now people be kind of suspect to say, hey man, I paid this person, they came in and we had a whatever, went on, and now that can be considered, a crime, which has always been a crime. But now if there's any type of animosity later on, they could be like, oh, well, you paid for me to come over there and blah, 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 blah. So just a heads up to all you guys who do that stuff, who mess with all these females that are selling themselves, or guys that are selling themselves, a lot of guys too. A lot of gay guys trafficking gay guys, straight guys, that are straight, that are, gay for pay. You got all that stuff going on. A lot of freaky stuff out there in the world, man. And, the squarest people you see out there that are acting like they're so uptight, they wear the most conservative clothing. They button their shirt all the way up to the top button, wear their, pants up, skirts down past their knees. They be the wildest ones, man. So don't let it fool you. But I'm interested to hear your comments, what you guys think about the P. Diddy trial. Do you think it was fair? Do you think that the jury served justice in this situation? Was he lucky in the verdict? Jury trials are always tricky. Do you guys think he deserved Rico? What do you think about Cassie? She's out, doing her thing. She was the main witness in all this. And, Puffy caught her young. And, they get these girls young and they turn them out. You see it in adult entertainment. Some of these, girls get these boyfriends, they get them involved, and then the boyfriend, he gets played out. The girl goes on and continues her career, and it is what it is. But a lot of this goes on in the entertainment industry, young females getting involved with guys who are a lot more mature and that have money and power, and they get these relationships that create opportunities, but then there's a trade-off behind closed doors. Do you think that trade-off is worth it, or is there a lot to be said about this relationship that they had previously, a powerful mogul and this aspiring singer songwriter, and how this all ended? I mean, could you have predicted this Cassie P Diddy situation 10 years ago? Could you predict that P Diddy you'd be in charge of Rico and the feds, man? You saw R. Kelly fall. You saw Bill Cosby get caught up. You've seen some of these other guys get caught up. Could you have seen P Diddy getting caught up 10 years ago? Somebody who's at the top of their game, who made a lot of money, well connected, knew everybody, partied around the world. Drugs, wild sex parties, kinky, is that illegal? If you want to get high, drink, have wild sex, when does it become illegal? When you're making somebody do something they don't want to do, or you're using drugs to manipulate them? Watch yourselves out there, man. Let me know what you think. Would love to hear your comments. Big Herc 916, Fresh Out Prison Talk.